All right, so I'm going to tell you a little bit about the big wheel that I did. I got the idea from another guy on YouTube that did it. He did his differently, but it just shows you, you can take a three-wheeler that is kind of, they're usable, but they're not fun to maintain. They're getting kind of old, so it's a way to take something that's kind of cheap and broken and make something maybe a little more useful. Three-wheelers are a bit dangerous. They flip over sideways around corners. They flip over backwards, going up hills. I grew up with them, and they were fun, but I'm glad they're gone. So anyways, I did mine a little bit different. A lot of people like to put a second shaft on there so that they can run a really fat tire in the back, and that's fine, but then you've got 4 sprockets, 2 chains, extra bearings, and it's great. That's just like Yamaha big wheel. That's what those things had, but it's just a lot of stuff on there. It's just more to maintain, and you want to ride the thing, and it's not a sport bike, so I just don't see the value in it. If you want to, go for it, but like I say, it's more money, more maintenance, and for most people, it turns the job into something that someone can easily do in their garage to something that just requires a little bit more fab, more parts. So anyways, what I did was I made my hub. So that side is for the sprocket, that side is for the wheel, and then just have some bearings. They're just standard. I didn't go with metric because then, well, in Alaska it's hard to find stuff, so I figured standard would just be easier. This thing is the exact width, so I can use an 8-inch wheel, put it on. It centers everything up, and there's just enough room to run this tire without having to go to a jack shaft setup. I have a couple other ones that I'm going to do, working on, but this one I finished. I'll just show you some of the framework. So you can see, really if you look close, you can kind of tell the rear tire is just kicked off to the right just a little bit, and that's what I'm talking about. If you want to line the 2 sprockets up, there isn't room for a fat tire. If you tried to put that on, you'd kick it off to the right so far that it just, well, you're going to get laughed at because you're going to have a wheel like way off to the side. And like I said, the only other way to do it is to run a second shaft, and it's just a lot more stuff. You have to have a longer swing arm. I wanted this thing to be short, good ground clearance. So you can see all I did was just run a square 2x2 underneath the meatiest part of the frame, welded that on real solid, and then just took like a 1x2, welded that up, and then slotted the end there. And then there's also like a solid spacer with a hole. Which isn't even all that tight right now. But anyways, that way if you really tighten these down, it's not going to smash it. You've got this spacer in between that'll hold it in position. This, I don't know, it's like a Schedule 80 3/4 pipe. And I just took a sledgehammer and just, on the cement, just smashed it real good, and then bent it just a little bit so, this would all line up together, and fit it up and welded that on. So, it's way more solid than, what the Honda frame is. The Honda frame is really thin, which makes it kind of challenging to weld on because it likes to burn through. And I stick welded this whole thing, and it requires, higher amperage even with a 332 rod. So it takes, takes a little getting used to. If you're used to working on heavy material, it's a little tricky, but not too bad. So, once you line everything up, you get your little hub on there, swing arm, all that stuff, weld everything. It really wasn't too bad. What else can I say? The thing rides and handles well, that's for sure. I've been riding it in the snow, and it does well. But like I was saying, there's more than one way to do everything, but the way I did it is just welded, right here. Put the little 2x2 there and welded it up. You could do gussets on it to make it a little more stable. My second one, I'm going to use a big round piece of steel, put bearings in it, and then actually do a swing arm. But the first one, I just, I wanted to go simple. It has no suspension. Boy, it is just incredibly simple. I think the hub was probably the more complex part to make. And then I welded on another little tab back there and put this rigid light on. And that thing is super bright. And I mean, it's dark here all the time. It's almost winter solstice. So if you go riding in the winter on snow machine trails, it's going to be dark. That's just the way it goes. So what else can I say? I mean, it's a 5-speed. It's got a compression release there, pull start. And it's just a really simple engine, and it's the automatic clutch and all that kind of stuff. So, I mean, it's easy to ride, and I could put the same tire I have on the back on the front, and that'd probably work better for summer because then you can lean a little more. With this tire, it's flat bottom, so you can't lean much. But in the snow and ice, you also don't fall down. It kind of holds you straight up. So I'm going to leave it like this for now. I think I prefer it. And that's about it. I mean, like I said, these things are not incredibly hard to make. It's nice to have your own welder. I've got the engine-driven welder back there. And then even just, the drill press, that's kind of nice. And, maybe like a little workbench. And a lot of it is that bandsaw, man. That thing just helps a lot, the Portaband. And then, of course, if you have, a couple grinders, really don't need a whole lot more than that, and you could probably do it with less. But and you could, like I keep saying, you can do it differently. There's so many different ways to do it, and it's your skill and creativity. If you can think, you can do anything a lot more complex than this. My next one's gonna, like I said, have suspension. So I'm going to try and do something just, slightly more complex. And if I can finish that and I'm still not super busy, then I'll probably take the third one and then try and do something really, really complex. But, it's nice to just have a finished product that kind of keeps you motivated. So hope that answers some questions. And, cheers.